She liked you. I saw it in her eyes when you walked into that coffee shop, the way she angled her body toward you, the way she touched her hair when you made that first joke about the barista's terrible handwriting on the cup. She was interested. She was leaning in. She was smiling. And then you opened your mouth and said exactly the wrong thing, and I watched her face change like someone had flipped a switch. The light went out. Not gradually, instantly. That's when I knew you needed me, needed someone to tell you the truth that your friends won't say and your dates won't explain. If you value truth over comfortable lies, hit that like and hype buttons immediately. Subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know where my strongest, most aware men are tuning in tonight. I've spent 15 years watching men sabotage themselves with words they think sound charming or honest. They don't. They kill attraction faster than rejection ever could. You think the date went great. She's already texting her friend that something felt off. By the end of this, you'll know 7 phrases that instantly turn women off. Not slowly, instantly. Because attraction isn't lost over time, it's talked to death in minutes. Here's what most men miss. Women don't lose interest because you're not rich, tall, or funny enough. They lose interest because your energy leaks. Every word either builds mystery or bleeds validation. Certainty kills curiosity, and curiosity fuels attraction. One client, a 52-year-old architect, showed me his chats. Women were warm at first, then replies shrank to one-word answers. He wasn't boring, he was over-explaining. Transparency killed the tension. That's why the man who once captivated her, the one she couldn't stop thinking about after their first date, now feels like a familiar colleague or distant relative, completely devoid of the spark that once drew her in. Not because he fundamentally changed as a person, but because he started explaining himself like a customer service representative trying to prevent a bad review on social media. Women listen to your tone more than your facts. They feel your need, your hunger for approval, before they even process the actual words coming out of your mouth. And need? Need is repulsive. Need is attraction poison. So let's dissect the 7 instant verbal red flags that make a woman shut down emotionally, even if she was genuinely interested 5 minutes ago, even if she was planning to see you again. Here's what most men don't understand, especially men over 40 who've been out of the dating game for years or decades. Women don't fall for poetry or pickup lines or carefully rehearsed compliments they found on the internet. They fall for presence. A confident man speaks like he's editing himself in real time, like he trusts that silence is actually part of the conversation, not some awkward void that needs to be filled with nervous chatter or explanations or self-deprecating jokes. I was having dinner with a friend last week at this Italian place downtown, and she pointed to the quiet guy 2 tables over. Not the loudest one telling animated stories with his hands, not the one performing for the entire group, not the one making sure everyone knew he was the fun one. The one who spoke in short, deliberate sentences and then just stopped talking. She said that's the one who had her attention all night, the one she kept glancing at between bites of pasta. Why? Because he left room for imagination. He didn't hand her his entire personality, his whole resume, his complete emotional history on a silver platter in the first 10 minutes. He created space for her to wonder, but most men ruin it with sentences they genuinely think sound honest, kind, respectful, or emotionally intelligent. They don't realize they're broadcasting insecurity in high definition, that they're waving red flags they can't even see. Let's start with the one that makes her shut down instantly, the one I hear more than any other. The first turn-off is the apology overload. I hear this constantly from men who think they're being considerate, sensitive, aware. They say things like, "Sorry if I said something wrong," or "Sorry for being too honest back there," or my personal favorite that makes me want to scream, "Sorry, I know I'm rambling. I do that when I'm nervous." Here's what she actually hears when you do this, what's transmitted beneath your words. You don't trust yourself. You don't believe you have the right to take up space in this conversation. Over-apologizing isn't empathy or consideration. It's insecurity wearing an empathy costume, trying to pass itself off as thoughtfulness. I had a client tell me about a date where the guy apologized 6 times in 45 minutes. 6 separate apologies, for things that didn't remotely require apologies, for pausing to think before answering a question, for ordering the same appetizer she did, for mentioning his job when she asked what he did for work, for laughing at his own joke, for suggesting a different restaurant for next time, for existing, basically. She told her friend afterward, "He's genuinely sweet, but he kept shrinking mid-conversation. I felt like I was on a date with someone who was constantly waiting for me to grade him, to give him permission to be there." Confidence apologizes through action when something genuinely goes wrong, not through repetition as a verbal tic, a nervous habit. When you constantly apologize for normal human behavior, you're teaching her that being around you requires managing your anxiety. That's exhausting. And exhaustion is the polar opposite of attraction. Attraction is energizing. Anxiety management is draining. But here's the thing that surprises most men. The next one actually sounds confident on the surface, and it kills attraction twice as fast because she sees through it immediately. The second turnoff is the brag wrapped as modesty, the false humility move. This is the guy who says, "I'm not trying to impress you, but I just got back from closing a major deal in Singapore." Or, "I don't usually mention this, but I've been told by several people that I'm pretty exceptional at what I do." Women catch that but faster than your compliment ever lands. It's like watching someone try to sneak past a security guard while simultaneously announcing their arrival through a megaphone. You're not being humble. You're selling, and she can smell the sales pitch from across the table, across the room, across the entire restaurant. I watched this exact scenario happen at a networking event last year. Guy in his late 40s, well-dressed, clearly successful, talking to a woman who obviously liked him at first. You could see it in how she was standing, how she was smiling. He kept prefacing every single accomplishment with false modesty. "I don't like to brag, but..." And then he'd brag for 30 seconds straight. By the third one, she was looking at her phone, checking the time, scanning the room for an exit strategy. She told me later over coffee, "I don't mind confidence at all. I actually love confident men. But when someone performs confidence like it's a one-man show, when they're auditioning for the role of successful man, it's like watching a rehearsal instead of having a conversation. I felt like an audience member, not a participant." Here's the truth that confident men understand instinctively. Genuine power doesn't narrate itself. You don't need to announce that you're successful or interesting or well-traveled or experienced. Those things show up naturally in how you listen, what questions you ask, the ease in your body language, the stories you tell when they're relevant. When you wrap your resume in false modesty, you're selling what you should be living. And nobody wants to date a salesman. The third one doesn't sound like bragging at all. It sounds like flattery, like a compliment. But it's actually begging, and most men don't even realize they're doing it. The compliment that feels transactional. You know exactly the one I'm talking about. "You're so beautiful. I bet you hear that all the time." Or, "A woman like you probably has guys lined up around the block." Or the absolute worst one that makes women cringe internally. "I honestly can't believe you're still single at your age." He thinks he's being charming, thinks he's making her feel special. She feels like she's being analyzed, categorized, and filed into a pre-existing template in his mind. I've had dozens of women describe this exact feeling to me over the years. They say it's like being processed through a system instead of actually being seen as an individual human being. One woman texted her friend immediately after a date last month. "He's nice enough, but I felt like a checklist he was marking off. Beautiful, check. Successful career, check. Good conversationalist, check. I don't think he was actually interested in me as a person. He was interested in successfully landing someone who fit his criteria, who matched his requirements. Compliments lose absolutely all their power when they sound pre-approved by a committee, when they sound like something you'd say to any attractive woman. Attraction is built on specific observation, not generic flattery. Instead of telling her what category she fits into, notice something uniquely specific about her. Not her beauty as an abstract concept, but the exact way she tilted her head when she laughed at something unexpected. Not her success in general terms, but the specific details she shared about why she genuinely loves her work, what drives her. The fourth one is particularly dangerous because it sounds kind and emotionally intelligent on the surface, and that's exactly the trap that catches men. The therapist tone. This is when a man tries to create connection by playing amateur psychologist, by analyzing her. You seem like you've been hurt before. Or, I can tell you have some trust issues you're working through. Or the absolute kiss of death. You put up walls, don't you? I can see it. I watched a woman's face completely freeze when a guy said this to her on a second date at a wine bar. She smiled politely, but her eyes said something completely different. Her body language shifted. Later, over the phone, she told me, "Who gave him permission to diagnose me? We've known each other for exactly 3 hours total. He doesn't know anything about my psychology, my past, my patterns." It felt invasive. Women want empathy, not analysis. They want you to be present with them, not to solve them like a puzzle, or identify their psychological patterns like you're writing a case study for a journal. You can't create genuine connection by trying to sound wise or insightful about her inner world. You connect by listening without agenda, by being there without needing to fix or interpret or explain her to herself. When you slip into therapist mode, you're positioning yourself above her, looking down with understanding and insight. That's not intimacy. That's condescension with a gentle voice and a sympathetic head tilt. The fifth one ruins attraction before it even has a chance to develop roots, before anything can grow. The honest overshare. Men in their 40s and 50s sometimes think radical honesty is attractive, that vulnerability equals connection. They say things like, "I'm just being real with you. I don't really do committed relationships anymore." Or, "I've been ghosted so many times in the last year. I'm kind of numb to it now." Or, "My ex-wife really messed me up emotionally, to be completely honest with you." A woman told me last month, after a disastrous first date, "I wasn't turned off by his past or his divorce or his struggles. Everyone has history. I was turned off by his wounds, asking for attention on the first date, by his pain demanding to be acknowledged before we'd even finished our appetizers." That's the crucial difference. Everyone has a history, has scars, has been hurt. But when you unpack your emotional baggage in the first few conversations, you're not being authentic or vulnerable. You're making her responsible for your healing. And she didn't sign up for that job. She came for a date, not a therapy session where she's the unpaid therapist. Oversharing feels like emotional debt. She's now carrying information about your pain, your failures, your damage, your resentments, and she barely knows your last name. Boundaries aren't walls that keep people out. Boundaries create mystery, create intrigue. Transparency, especially premature transparency, kills tension. And tension is where attraction lives and breathes. The sixth one is subtle and sophisticated, and even genuinely confident men miss it completely. The hidden competition line. This is when a man reveals his underlying resentment toward women in general while talking to one woman specifically. "I really like that you're not too emotional like most women." Or, "It's so refreshing to meet someone who's not completely obsessed with social media." Or the classic that women hate, "You're not like other women I've dated." What she hears underneath that seemingly positive statement, "You're going to punish me the moment I act human. You've already decided that most women are fundamentally defective, and I'm temporarily exempt from your judgment. for now, until I inevitably disappoint you. I had a woman tell me about a date where the guy complimented her by insulting other women 3 separate times in 1 hour. She said, "He wants a robot, not a woman. He wants someone who never has inconvenient feelings, never makes mistakes, never needs anything from him." I could see his ex-wife in every single comment. I could feel his unresolved anger. Backhanded comments about other women reveal unhealed resentment, bitterness, anger. And resentment isn't attractive to anyone. It's a blinking warning label that says, "I will eventually resent you too." And the last one? This is the silent killer of attraction, the one that ends things without drama. The need for confirmation. Do you like me? Or, did I say something wrong earlier? Or, after making a joke, was that too much? Or, after sharing an opinion, does that make sense to you? Or, the most desperate version, are you having a good time right now? Women lose respect the moment you outsource your confidence to them. The moment you ask them to do the emotional work of validating you. She's not your mirror. She's not there to constantly reassure you that you're doing okay, that she's interested, that you haven't messed up yet, that you're enough. When you keep asking for confirmation, you're handing her an exhausting job, manage my anxiety, and validate my worth every 5 minutes. A woman described this to me perfectly last week. She said, "He was sweet, he was interesting, we had good conversation, but something in me just switched off when he asked for the 3rd time if I was enjoying myself. I wasn't his date anymore. I was his emotional support system, his validation machine." Here's the psychology. Curiosity attracts. Validation exhausts. The moment you start asking her to confirm that you're enough, you've already answered the question yourself. Never ask for reassurance. Let your energy, your presence, answer for you. Now here's what ties all 7 of these together, and this is the part most men never understand, the missing piece. It's not actually your words that turn her off. It's the need behind them. It's the desperation, the insecurity, the hunger for approval that leaks through every sentence like water through cracks. Emotional hierarchy in communication. Every word reveals rank, constant apologies, needy compliments, oversharing, or asking for reassurance. All signal she's above you, and you're chasing approval. That's why she stayed up texting you one night, then went cold the next. You shifted from equal to eager, from grounded to performing. Attractive men don't talk women into wanting them. They leave space for curiosity. Confidence is quiet. Mystery does the work.